Okay, so I'm here in my office. I wanted to kind of show you my setup so you saw how simple it was. I definitely didn't even do all that I could have done, but I'm lazy and it didn't require it. So let's take a look here. So you can see back here, I've got a green screen. I've got two different ones. This one I really love. It is the Elgato green screen. It's a little more expensive, but it really sets up, pulls down. You can see I can just literally come here and drop it down and then lock it and store it away real quick. The other one has two poles and this big, huge sheet, and you got to make sure the sheet has no additional wrinkles, things like that. I have just one light. That's all I did was one little softbox. These are super cheap off Amazon. I've got like a set of three, I think, for about $100 or something like that, and it came with the stands, it came with the bulbs, everything for like three of them, super cheap. And then I got a ring light that was under $100. I want to say it was about $49 plus the stand, somewhere around there. You can look on Amazon, find these things very inexpensive. So I just put my camera there real quickly, filmed myself. You'll see a little bit of my green screen using one light. It does have where the light comes from one side to the other, but I can do a quick mask and show you what to do in Premiere and how to chroma key this real quick and easy. All right, so here we are. I'm in my computer now. I have gone into my memory card here and just taken that video that I did with the green screen. You can look at it here. Here it is that I recorded when I recorded it, and just really first off the bat, having one light, not a great setup, because doing the one light onto the green screen, you can see how it's a little lighter over here versus say over here on this other side. So you can see how that looks where it's lighter here versus there. Probably should have took the time to get out my other light, but like I said in the little first part of the video, I'm just too darn lazy to do that. So I had one light on the green screen, one light on me, and I think you'll see for this little project that was more than sufficient. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into Premiere. In Premiere, I'm going to just say new project. I'm going to label it. You could call it Weather Map if you wanted. It doesn't really matter. You can leave it untitled. It's a quick little project. Weather map, there it is. Then I'm going to go Command I. Command I is simply import. What do I need to import? Well, let's start off with that video. That's one. And then the next thing I need to do is import in the image that we got, and I just got mine off of KSL, so I went ksl.com, clicked the weather tab as we all did in class, and I just downloaded that, and you can see it right there. Mine may have a few different numbers than what you have. I just did it on a different day than you, and so now I have that and the video. So we want to start with the video, very important. If I drag out the image right now, and if I was to look at all this information here for this image, you could see that image is a much smaller size. It doesn't have as many pixels, if you would, as the video. So I want to start with the video. That way it creates a sequence for me. I don't even have to think about it. Premiere is going to create a sequence for me at this larger size of the video. So I'm going to click and drag out that. I need to actually get my timeline here. Again, if I need to, you may do this as well. I'm going to go under Window Workspaces, and then I can just hit All Panels, or here, Reset to Saved Layout for that All Panels. So I've done the All Panel one. That's the one I'm working with. And I'm going to drag that video out. And you can probably see here the first part, you don't even see me because, well, I had to click the camera and then I had to walk in front, kind of get where I'm positioned. And then I can see right here on my audio track, that is about all I need of it. So I'm going to just drag that down, click here in the empty spot, and then that's going, well, if I can click there in the empty spot and then move it down. And then I see a lot off the back end that I don't need as well, looking at the audio, okay? And I'm going to just clip that off the back end of the audio because that's where I went to walk out of the scene, and you can see I start walking. I probably could clip it even a little sooner right about there, and I'm just going to do that. I can press that / or backslash, well, it's actually the / key there, right underneath the delete key, and that kind of makes that fill that entire length, and you can see there I am. Ooh, I'm good looking. Anyhow, needless to say, from here, what I'm going to do is select the clip. Then I'm going to come up here to Effects Controls. I need that clip selected. If I don't have that clip selected, say I don't have it selected, Effects Control so shows nothing. but I have it selected, and I see here I can open these things up, and the one that I'm going to be dealing with right now is not audio, not all these other things, but I'm going to come here under the opacity one, and I've got a couple of tools. One is a pen tool, or I can do either a 4-point polygon. That'd probably work as well, but I can just do the pen tool. This just quickly helps me create a mask around me, because you may have had extra stuff in the studio showing. You may have had the lights over here or the light above showing. And so you need to just quickly cut those out so you just have good, clean green around you. So all I'm doing is clicking to set points. Notice I'm coming way down even below. And I do have mine set currently to like 50% so I can see down below. If I had it here fit, it's going to fit in window. I don't see all that down below, but I can drop that to 50 or even, well, 75 is not enough to show, but 50 does show that. And that way it goes fully off. I don't have to worry about it accidentally me cutting something here and having some white down there later or something weird. I can move these individual points, as you can see what I'm doing here. The key is, if you scrub through this, I want to make sure that at no point in time I move my hands, move my head, move my body outside of the mask. If so, go ahead and move one of these points so that it's included. Later, hopefully this semester, myself or another teacher will go through hopefully how to do some keyframing with this so you can have that mask move as you move throughout the video. But for this purposes, we really don't move. We really didn't move. We just stood there and talked. So that will work. So as you see already, I get black back here. That is awesome. That's what we want. And then you can see my green is much more even around me. I don't have that really strong light green over here where the light was. And over here where the light wasn't, it was much a dark green. So I don't want that. I want as even lighting around me as possible. And that's pretty good so far. So I'm going to collapse that down. Now I need to apply my effect. The chroma key effect that we're going to use is called Ultra Key. So I'm going to click on my effects little panel here and type in Keen. And you can see right there, there's Ultra Key. I'm going to click and drag it down to my clip. Now over here in Effects Controls, it's added this Ultra Key. Okay, so this eyedropper still acting a little weird for me, even at home. I think it's just the latest version of Premiere. It's probably this version that is this 3.15. But here's what we can do to get it to work. You click and have it selected, and you can see it's kind of selected. It actually selected itself, that same little blue. But if you click it and hold the mouse down, right? So I'm left clicking and dragging that whole time so I get that little eyedropper. And usually right in around the neck, between the shoulder and the side of the jaw there, usually is a pretty good spot to select the green shade. And you can see right there from that alone, that did pretty good. If I need to, I can always come back and again, click it, hold it down if you need to. You do need to get it selected. You can see it kind of changes color when it selects. And then I could try the other side. Let's see if that does a better shade of green and a little more, but you can see how that kind of takes out a lot of that. Now let's go under matte generation and see what we can do there. Matte generation allows you to do quite a few different little things here. Transparency. You'll see, if anything, transparency, we're going to turn down the other way. But let's sit here under output. Right now it's set under composite, and let's turn it to the alpha channel. If you remember when we did our profile picture earlier in Photoshop, we said white reveals, black conceals. Well, this is the same concept here. We want to get it to where we are 100% white and this background's 100% black. So you can see right now on the side of my face here, I actually have some that's being transparent. So I'm going to have to turn this down. So you can see as I adjust this, what it does, what it doesn't do. And I want to get to where my body is 100% white, right? Including my side of my face there and the hair. So I actually have to turn this down a little bit. And you can see how I've done that, right? So I'm just turning this down. Your numbers are going to be different. You've got to look at your image. Okay, highlights. Let's look at highlights. Highlights, they're probably not a lot, but you can see highlights came from that light source. Well, I want that background to be as dark as possible, so I'm going to probably set that to 0. Shadows, almost the exact same kind of thing here. If I have it up to 100, you see right down here a little bit where that shadowy was, but if I turn it down, it kind of brings just back just a little bit, so I'm going to turn it pretty far down. Tolerance, probably not going to mess with too much, but you can try and see what tolerance does. You see how that kind of darkens it just a little bit. I'll take it. And then we do pedestal. Pedestal's the one it's probably going to notice the most with. And I can see, wow, that really starts to get it just a little bit. The key is you don't want to go all the way up if you can help it. You want to get it to where it's just there, right about there. You can probably see. I don't need to go all the way up to 100 just because I can. Some funny things start to happen, but if I start dialing this back, I can see right about in through there. About that 60 for me, 65, somewhere in there that I start getting really good clean black into this. And if I zoomed in a little more, I may turn it up just a touch more, but probably not much more. And again, these little icon right here, that resets it if you needed to. So hey, it sets it back to whatever the default was. And so you can kind of get that kind of going for you. So I'll just set mine at about 70. Okay, then I'm going to switch back here to my composite. Wow, that's starting to look pretty good already. I can scrub through this. You do want to scrub through and make sure if you move, it may be different. Okay, but that is matte generation. Okay, matte cleanup is just that. Choke. Choke's going to shrink this around you. So let me show you what choke does. You probably don't need to do much choke because you can kind of see how that pulls that down in and around me. Well, although my ears are a little big, I don't need to make them that much bigger, so I'm probably not going to mess with choke too much. Soften is going to feather that edge. Okay, so if you need to feather it just to get a little bit of softness to it, I'm going to just hit reset. I may set it at like 1 maybe here so that we can have that. Uh-oh. 1, there we go. And contrast, you can again drag the slider, see what it does, doesn't do. If you don't need it, just reset it. Midpoint as well. All right, so that's matte cleanup. If you have any color spilling, you're too close to your green, you didn't have enough backlighting to separate you from it, then you could do color correction. This is where you come back through and adjust color and spill. This is where that color, if you have a little bit of green, you were standing too far back, and the green, like my green little screen, does not have a lot of reflection to it. It's really good. The wall there in the classroom has a little more reflection because it's just a painted wall, and the surfaces to it reflect off a little more than, say, a fabric might. So you can kind of adjust that as needed for you individually. All right, so now what I need to do is take this track and move it up one. So I'm going to just select the video track and click and drag it up. Now I need to get my map, and I'm going to drag my map down. And you notice my map does not go for that entire time length, and I'm going to just simply drag it out to where it does. But at a quick glance, I see my map's really small. Again, we said here when we looked at it, we knew because we took that map from the internet that it's going to be a pretty small file size. And you could see we saw that when we looked at it earlier here. Our video's at 1920 by 1080 HD. And our map is, good grief, it's even less than half that. So I definitely need to up the size of that a good bit. So let me come back here and do that. So I have it selected. Now I have the effects control for the map, and you can kind of see that here. It's highlighted here instead of the video or anything else. Okay, I'm going to come here under the motion section. Okay, FX is simply effects, right? So I'm going to change the scale of it. I don't need to necessarily change the positioning of it. I just want to change the scale. I'm going to keep the scale uniform, right? So, I don't want to do that. So you want to make sure that you do keep it uniform there. So I have that selected. And then that will size it up to where we don't have any black but I have a nice weather map behind me. Now, if you notice, it may kind of change there as we go through.
Today we have highs in the mid-40s and lows in the mid-40s.
Now notice as I zoomed out and did a fit, so it fits everything in the window, I still need to take my map up just a little bit bigger. And so I'm going to do that right now so that it fills that. Now, as a quick glance, you see when I release, it re-renders it. And it gets a little sharper. It's not great. That increase, though, that's what we talked about when we were looking at Photoshop. That's adding pixels, and that's why it looks a little soft and fuzzier. But it's good enough for what we're doing.
Morning, West Valley City. Today we have highs in the mid-40s and lows in the mid-40s. So go out and make it a great day, Utah.
Awesome.
Good morning,
Great.
West
That's
Texas.
all we needed. And now all I need to do is export it out. So I'm going to come here under File. I need to make sure I have my little sequence window selected. Media. I'm going to choose a H.264 format. I'm going to click the output name. I'm going to click this little down pointing arrow here so I get this full dialog box. I can send it to my desktop so I know where it's at. I'm going to simply call this Weather Map. File formats, that MP4, that's because it's set by this H.264. And then I'm going to hit export. It's going to export this video. This is the video then that you will upload to your YouTube channel and then turn in via Canvas. Okay, so get that done by the end of class today, and then I'll go through the next step next.